over 25 years in the business of Japanese style tattoo and traditional American tattoo, we're joined today on this week's episode of Talk with Kelly Edwards, owner of Eternal Courage. How you doing today, Kelly?
I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Doing good, doing good. I'm excited to be here, man. We are going to be digging into some tacos from El Milagrito.
My favorite spot.
We're going to get it going. So, you said it's your favorite spot. What taco is your favorite from there?
You know, I like their potato, egg, and cheese, but really I think the mark of a good spot is their carne guisada. Like, I just picture somebody's grandma in back stirring up an old recipe of guisada.
Absolutely, absolutely. I can definitely agree with you on that one for sure. But, all right, man. So, getting on into it, you've been in the business for over 25 years. Mm-hmm. What has that been like for you?
Oh, I just kind of committed to being an artist when I was, I was probably 15 or 16, and there were some other artists in my family, and so the thought of being an artist for a living was kind of a viable option, and so I just set to doing that. I used to paint murals and do a lot of graphic design and illustration and stuff when I was younger, and I kind of just, I found tattooing. I was 23 when I started tattooing, so I just kind of, I was always into a lot of subcultural stuff when I was younger, like skateboarding and punk rock and, metal and hip hop I've always been real into. And I didn't really realize it at the time, but all those subcultural things were kind of leading me towards tattooing eventually.
Interconnected.
So yeah, I just kind of ended up running into it. And when I started tattooing, I realized pretty early on it was gonna require more focus than just another thing to do. So I focused on tattooing.
That's amazing.
Here we are.
So we know that you've been within the business for over 25 years, doing traditional American and different styles like that. What is, I guess, the main style of the shop? What would you say everybody's, just main focus is?
Everybody that works here are all real versatile. When I first started tattooing, a lot of people now will specialize in a certain type of tattoo or a certain look of tattoo. A lot of the work that we do here is pretty just straight up, traditional, old school tattooing. Just solid, bold, bright, tattooing, and we do all our work custom. Everybody here are real talented artists, and everybody here is able to draw pretty much whatever you would want.
Right.
So I personally tattoo a lot of, I do a lot of like kind of traditional Japanese style looking work and traditional Americana, mostly large scale work, and we all kind of work by appointment. Mondo and a couple of the other guys do real super beautiful like fine line style tattooing, black and gray kind of Chicano style work.
Okay, beautiful.
Chelsea does like a real fine line, old traditional style of tattoo. But yeah, everybody here kind of has their own style and their own little bit of flavor to it. Beautiful. But everybody's real versatile and real creative and talented.
Definitely. Is there like a friendly competition that goes on throughout the shop about who does better pieces or things like that?
Everybody's always real motivated to keep creating, and the way I have the shop set up, it's kind of like hopefully real conducive to creativity. So everybody paints a lot and draws a lot and tries to keep producing new art. We're always painting new flash that's tattoo style art, and just coming up with new ideas and new stuff to put on people,
Beautiful,
Trying to keep it fresh and different.
Definitely. So I know actually a couple weeks ago you all did the collaboration with Gold Coffee. Can you tell me a little bit about that? A little bit about that whole process and going through that?
Yeah, we about every year or so we have, because everybody paints a lot and is always cranking out art here, we try to have a group show here at the shop, usually late November, early December before Christmas.
Right.
And we'll have a group kind of art show to have people come into the shop and check it out and not necessarily for a tattoo, but check out some of the art that we do. So we do that every year anyway.
Beautiful.
And Gold Coffee, he called up and he's enjoyed looking at our tattoo art and our work and wanted us to do a group art show over there at the coffee shop. So
beautiful.
It was a cool opportunity to show off our art in a different setting and get it in front of some new eyes. And
awesome.
Different people.
How hard is it doing a huge piece, back piece, all the way down you know, through the legs and everything. How difficult is a process like that for yourself? You know, do you have to like stretch your fingers out? Do you have to do like, you know, like what does that whole process entail?
I'm used to the workload of it, and I'm turning 50 this year, so I've done real well. I feel like taking care of myself and pacing myself, and I work pretty much only by appointment. So, and I tattoo pretty fast. So, you know, I'll set 4-hour blocks of time for people. They usually get tattooed for like 3 of those hours, and 3 hours you get quite a bit of tattoo work done.
Sweet.
A big piece like a back piece, for instance, or a sleeve or something like that, it takes multiple sessions across months. So you would come in and get 3 hours of work 1 month, and then let that heal up, and then come in the next month and get some more work done, you know, until the piece is finished. So
nice.
Steady is really, steady progress is kind of the main goal when you do big work.
Definitely.
So it's kind of an agreement between myself and the client, like, you know, we talk about it, and my expectation from them would be to be, you know, get the piece done in a steady time frame and in a reasonable time frame, and my part of that is to make sure that I'm available to do the work and to you know, make sure I can get it done,
right.
And that I'm healthy and that I'm here and I'm able to do the kind of work that, you know, we're talking about doing.
Yeah, I guess I'll let you wrap up your tacos. We got a couple questions. I'm gonna be asking some more while we're on the table.
Cool.
And we'll go from there.
All right.
So stay tuned, guys. I will be grabbing a taco tattoo here in a bit. So walk me through the process. You know, we talked about you and your experience within, you know, the Japanese style tattoos. Mm-hmm. What's the process like that? You know, from start to finish, I know it can take up to years. It's just really depends. But what's the process like?
It's just a lot more. I mean, it's the same thing as a normal tattoo. You figure out the design,
Right.
put on a stencil, or actually I draw on a whole lot of work directly on skin, and I think it fits better and moves better with you.
Nice.
Interacts better with the body when it's drawn on than just stenciled and placed. So you design the thing and you put the design on one way or another, and then the outline is the first part of the process.
Wow.
Outline kind of holds everything together and gives it some framework. And then usually you do all the black and gray, kind of darker shading stuff first. And
Right,
then when that's all finished up, color. So same process or same order of process as a small tattoo like the taco here.
So your shop is Eternal Courage. Where does the name come from?
It's actually from Ed Hardy's Tattoo City.
Okay, sweet.
Ed Hardy, I think, is probably one of the, if not the most influential tattooers of our time, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he was like a creative force to be reckoned with all throughout his career. Super prolific artist, amazing tattooer, and he tried a lot of stuff, you know. Kind of opened a lot of doors and tried a lot of new things and introduced a lot of new things to tattooing. And of course I made like the pilgrimage to Tattoo City, his shop that has been in San Francisco. Unfortunately, like it's closing up, I've heard, in the next few months.
Oh, wow.
So if you get a chance to go check out Tattoo City, now is about the last chance you'll get to do so. But I walked into that shop my first time and he had I think a print or a poster hanging up. And it was a picture of a tiger, like a tiger face, and it had like its claws out, but it had a Sacred Heart in the middle.
Oh, wow.
And it had a corona like the Virgin Mary around all the top of it. So it was kind of like this like religious themed looking, real ferocious tiger.
Right, right.
And it said underneath it had a banner that said Eternal Courage. And I was like, man, that is like, it was the coolest thing I'd seen. It was like hanging inside of Tattoo City. I was like, man, can I get prints of that? Like, you know, and they're like, nah, we're all sold out, you know. I was like,
Damn.
are they gonna print them again or not? And they're like, maybe one day, you know. So that's the first time I saw it, and that was probably 25 years ago.
Wow.
Years later in my career, there was a fella named Trevor Ewald that ended up kind of cataloging and going through. Ed was always a kind of a consummate collector of his own work, and,
Right.
and kind of like, you know, like held on to all the stuff he had done, even from his childhood.
Wow.
And I guess he had like stacks and stacks of art, and he hired a fellow named Trevor to go through the work and chronicle and catalog everything. And I guess Trevor came upon these old prints, the Eternal Courage Tiger print,
Right.
and brought him out and convinced Ed to do some reprints of it. And they only did a small signed numbered run of those prints. And I was really fortunate enough to get a hold of one of those for my own collection. So it hung as like my, you know, my centerpiece over my art table at my home where I draw. And I was, when I was building this shop, I was trying to come up with names, and I had all these, like, I had this list of all these goofy names I was thinking of naming the place. And I couldn't really figure out what, I was like, should I name it this, should I name it that? And then I was looking over this list of names, and one day I looked up above my drawing table, and that was that Eternal Courage print. And so not only do I have like ultimate respect for Ed Hardy and his artwork, but the meaning to me of that Eternal Courage is like, you get a tattoo, and it's a symbol that you went through the process, and you had the courage to get that and to wear it, and you have it forever.
Man.
So,
It's beautiful.
I was like, that's pretty cool, man. And I was like, surely somebody is, because there's been a lot of like tattoo slogans on banners, like death or glory, or, this or that have been underneath old traditional tattoo designs.
Right.
And people have taken that tattoo design and used that as a name for their shop.
Right.
And I thought, surely somebody has used that Eternal Courage, like it's so cool, And I looked on the internet, and no one had ever named a shop that. So I was like, man,
So
no
unique.
way. I think I'm going to do that. So not only do I think like the words Eternal Courage like signify like, the eternal nature and the courageous nature of getting and wearing a tattoo.
Right.
But it's also kind of an homage to Ed Hardy, and like, what a great kind of inspiration of an artist that he has been to all of us.
Would you say like the process for canvas to skin is like totally different? Is it harder? Is one easier? What's that process like?
To get really good at tattooing takes lots and lots and lots of years, and lots of study, and just lots and lots of tattooing people. And I've gotten to a point now where, really the hardest part of tattooing for me is the design process.
Okay.
Like coming up with new cool stuff and challenging myself, and trying to do some stuff that I haven't done before, or do stuff a different way. Like I do lots and lots of dragons. People like the way that I do dragons, and that's a pretty popular subject, so I end up doing lots of them. Well, I always feel like every tattoo I sit down in front of needs to be the best thing that I can do at that point in my career.
Right.
Like this taco right here, and this taco has behind it like all the years of experience and all the other tattoos that I've done leading up to this tattoo. Right. So you're the recipient of all these years of my experience in this one instance.
Honored,
So,
to say the least.
So, when I sit down to a dragon, it needs to be like the coolest dragon I can do at that point in my career,
Right.
And it's based on all the things that I've learned from all the other dragons that I've done prior to it. They're all cool too, and they were all like, had their place, but like every time I never want to get complacent, like, oh, that's the coolest tattoo I've ever done, I never want to say that. Or the coolest piece of art, I look at something, it's finished, it's nicely done, I'm proud of it, and I appreciate it, and then I move on and like, okay, now what? How could I do that differently? How could I change or grow or learn?
Right. Absolutely.
Make it better. So hopefully it's always a process of like trying to learn and grow throughout my career. I think if I ever got to a point where I thought I knew everything and I was like super good or something, that like maybe it would be time to do something else. I always want to be learning and growing and progressing like, the whole time.
Right.
All right, my friend, I think you have a shiny new taco tattoo.
That's amazing.
Let me
It
wipe
actually
it
looks
up.
really dope. Exactly.
Wipe it up and maybe go check it out in the mirror.
Go for it.
All right, we'll
All
give that a
right,
look.
let's go. Oh yeah, new taco tattoo. Hands down, one of the best tattoos around. Beautiful, beautiful.